guys, welcome back. Today I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on the new Lindemann album, F&M. As you can see, I've stolen an image for the Brut trailer, and it's a little creepy, so if you don't feel like looking at it, minimize the window. And if you don't want to hear about this creepy shit, I would recommend just closing the video entirely, because this is kind of a weird album. And I think that's, before we get into the details, that's really the takeaway. This is a weird album. It's really inconsistent. So for those of you who don't know, Lindemann is a project that was started by Till Lindemann, the frontman for Rammstein, and I think Swedish producer who's produced for a lot of groups like Clawfinger and some other people in that genre. I hope you can't hear that siren too bad in the background. Give that a second to pass. So their freshman album came out a long time ago. 5 years ago. I don't remember exactly. And I don't know what the critical reception was like, but I liked it fine. I mean, it was nothing too great. Till's grasp on English is tenuous at best. So the lyrics, because that first album is entirely in English, so the lyrics can be very awkward, and there are some V sounds, V is in like very or Victor, that he can't pronounce. So, for example, very violent becomes very violent, and I don't know why. But it's a fine album. It's at least consistent, The quality of the music is solid through the whole thing. And of course, because it's Till Lindemann, who most of his experience is with Rammstein, it deals with some weird topics. You've got like Ladyboy, Fat, Skills and Pills, which is about drug addiction, and they look at them in a weird way. And then you have F&M, and this album I was pretty psyched for, because the singles they released, let me actually open up my Spotify here. Initially the singles that they released were excellent. So, like a year ago I guess, they released Mathematique, which initially I thought was going to be unrelated because it had been put out as a collaboration between Lindemann and this guy whose name I am blanking on right now, who's a German rapper. Let me actually find that right now. Haftbefehl, who's like, it's like German gangster rap, so you can imagine what that's like. But it was, it was a fun song. It's like, it's really kind of punchy, and nice to listen to. And the first two singles that they released that were directly related to F&M were Steh auf and Ich weiß es nicht. Steh auf is a great song. I really like that song. The music video is also a triumph of absurdism. It is bizarre and wonderfully entertaining. Ich weiß es nicht is good. And I think they definitely made, and then not long before the album actually dropped, they released Knable, which is also a good song that I think exemplifies the album as a whole quite well. in a second. But I think they made a good choice by releasing those 3 songs as singles, because they are some of the strongest songs in the album. There's also some real fucking trash on this album. In particular, correct me if I'm wrong, but Ach so gern is like clown music for 3.5 minutes. It's like they sat down and said, let's make French bistro music and put it on our shock rock album. That'll be perfect. And it's not. It's actually terrible. Nothing in this album is going to make everybody say, wow, this is trash, I'm turning this off right now. But you will probably not listen to Ach so gern more than once. It's a terribly, terribly disjointed album. And like I was saying, I think Knable really exemplifies that. So Knable is like 2.5 minutes of nice, like, classic country western strumming and singing. And it's, got this sort of bouncy rhythm that makes it, fun and enjoyable to listen to. And then at about, it's like 2 minutes and 21 seconds or something, they just punch you in the face with screaming. And then it chills out again. Because obviously, it seems like the song was written to get you, the first time you listen to it, like, oh shit, I didn't expect that. And it certainly got me. I mean, it was a surprise. It just seems like they could have done it in a way that makes the song listenable better on subsequent listens. Because everything that follows that, like, 5-second period is also great. It's a really good song that they just made one bad call in. And like I said, I think that's pretty much the album. Alles Fresser has some stuff in it that's like, okay, I don't really get why you did that. Frauen und Mann is, the whole song is like, okay, I guess. I don't know if there's some, like, deeper meaning that I have just completely missed between the way that the songs are produced. Oh shit, I hope that wasn't too loud. Between the way the songs are produced and the lyrics. But that's pretty much the only thing I can think of that excuses some of the songs on this album. Frauenmann, Ach so gern, and Gummi are the 3 real weird ones. And then you get to the end of the album, and lo and behold, Mathematik is actually on this album. But when Mathematik was released as a single, it was 4 versions. Each one had a little addendum on the end. So the one that they did the music video for was Mathematik A19. And I have to assume, based on the fact that that is the one they made the video for, that is the way they intended it to be heard. And yet, on this album, they picked the slowest, and in my opinion, most boring of the mixes for Mathematik. So I don't know if that was like the original vision, and addendum on it to hide that or something in the single. Because I can actually find you which one it is. It is. I think it's. Oh shit! I can't remember. Actually, I think it's the Stir mix. I think it's the second one on the single. Yeah, I know this does not have much direction, but it's kind of hard. There's not much to compare this album to because it's in a different language from the first album, and Rammstein and Clawfinger, and at least to my limited experience, the other projects that the producer has worked on are really not that similar to Lindemann. So this album kind of stands on its own, I guess. It's worth listening to once, at the very least. And then, going through and, like, picking out the songs you actually like. Because there is definitely some good shit in here. But that's part of the problem. It's obvious that they were capable. But something happened. I don't know if they were just, like, on drugs or what. But it's like their decision making just went out the window. And it feels like they're making these bad songs in spite of themselves. Because they're obviously both talented musicians. I haven't, if anybody has watched it, I haven't watched the Frauenmann music video yet. But from what I saw of it, I can't imagine it explains the song very well. Maybe it does. I don't know. But, yeah, I don't want to shit on this album too bad because it is an enjoyable listen. But the parts that aren't enjoyable are definitely worth talking about because they didn't need to be there. Generally, there's a reason I'm going to put ramble in the title of this video is because I have zero direction. Generally, when you're making an album, right, there's a sort of tonal story that you tell, right? There's a low point in the album, and then there's, high points. And those can be different things. Those can be energetically, those can be tonally, those can be, whatever. F&M tries to have a low point. And they tried. They put their shitty songs in the middle of the album to create the low point, I guess. Schlawein is a pretty good song, but it's sandwiched between Gummi and Ach so gern, which are not that great. Yeah, it's on Spotify. If you have Spotify, I would recommend listening through it at least once. I don't know if it's necessarily worth actually sitting down with your headphones and just listening to it. I don't know that it's that good. It's not, but it's worth listening to, though, all the way through, start to finish, shuffle off. I don't have high hopes for the next album, if there is one. Honestly, the way that this group has been going, I would be surprised if they make it past their third album. Unless they, put their asses in gear and figure out what it is that worked in the songs that worked in this album and in their last album. And drop the stuff that didn't. I think they could actually produce a really, really solid, good album. This is just speculation, but I suspect that Till Lindemann is kind of a nut job when it comes to making music. And the only reason why Rammstein was so great for its entire life is because he was tempered by the 5 other guys that he had to get to agree to anything that he wanted to do. In this group, it's just one other dude. And maybe he just doesn't know him that well. Maybe the Swedish guy who's, I wish I could remember his name, but maybe he just doesn't know Till that well. And so he sort of lets him run riot. Yeah, it's... I wish that Rammstein would have had a better legacy than this. I think Emigrate might actually be a better group than Lindemann. Not that I'm trying to shit on Emigrate, because I think Emigrate is really pretty solid, and it's been around for a lot longer. But, you know, it's still Lindemann. This guy lights people on fire and has the craziest lyrics and this, you know, great gravelly voice, and he's just sort of dropping the ball here. I guess that's about all I have to say about this. And I know I've said the same thing twice, several times, and I'm sure that I've missed a lot of things. Listen to the album. Temper your expectations. Go into it willing to sit through stuff you're not a fan of, just to get through the album as it is written, I guess. And then go back in and pick out the songs you like and keep those. I hope you guys enjoyed this. We'll be back to our regularly scheduled program later this week. We've got, I think, Dark Eldar coming up. I think that's what I put in the description of that cute little monkey video. I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.